Karen is threatening to divorce me. My wife threatens to divorce me every time we argue. My wife and I are in our late 30s, and we're the parents of 2 boys. For the longest time, my wife has chronically been unable to keep a schedule. I work 50 hours a week, come home, and despite my back being in agony on most days, I cook dinner 4 to 5 times a week. I'll generally do at least half the dishes. I take care of bath time. My wife, a stay-at-home mom, does the other household tasks. The only things that I generally avoid are those that involve leaning down to the floor. Picking up toys, for example, is hard for me. In addition, after work, I want to spend some time lying down flat when possible. It helps alleviate my back pain. The day before yesterday, I got home after working for 10 hours and cooked dinner for everybody. It was a nutritious meal using fresh vegetables. Our sons loved it and both asked for more. I then threw the first load of dishes into the dishwasher, ran it, and went to my room to lie down. 20 minutes later, I came out to check on things. My wife was still slowly eating, staring at her phone. I went back. Another 30 minutes later, I came out. Same situation. I went back. 30 minutes later, I came out. Same situation. My wife is still glued to her phone, slowly chewing every bite. I kind of lie down on the sofa as my back is still in excruciating pain, watching my older boy play with his Legos while my younger one chews on the Legos. Another 20 minutes pass, and it's 8:15, way past bath time. You see, dinner was done early. The boys were fed early. Dishes were mostly done early. My wife was holding up the show, chewing slowly and doom-scrolling through Instagram. She suddenly notices the time and, like every single solitary day, panics and says, "It's 8:15. Yes, 8:15 comes at the same time every day. She proceeds to throw an enormous tantrum about me lying down, complains that I never do anything around the house. I gently suggest she put down her phone and actually do something productive. Then she drops a bomb on the conversation. How about I start the divorce proceedings? When she doesn't get her way, she frequently does this. She starts bringing up perceived slights and arguments from months or years ago at the same time. Yesterday I got home. I cooked dinner as usual. This time, when my wife walked in, I told her to buzz off. I said she could go to her room and mess around on her phone. I don't care. She did so, and something magical happened. Instead of waiting for her to do her fair share, and instead of expecting her to pitch in properly, I did everything myself with the goal of a 9 p.m. bedtime. I was done with literally everything, including cooking, cleaning the kitchen, washing the dishes, bath time, brushing their teeth, reading them a bedtime story, and getting them into their PJs by 8. I put my youngest to bed at that time, and my older one went to sleep at 8:30. I just couldn't believe how easy everything was without her 2-hour dinner marathons holding everyone up. It was the easiest night I've probably ever had as a father. Honestly, I don't know what to do. My wife is completely closed to any suggestions because in her mind she's the perfect mother, and any suggestion is a personal slight. I'm so tired of having the finger pointed at me anytime something goes wrong. I'm not a single parent to 2 kids, not even 3. I'm a single parent to 2 boys and a constantly angry parasite. Okay, here's your script. Next time she says, "How about I start the divorce proceedings?" you should tell her, "Don't worry. I realized it would be a lot faster if I took care of that myself too." I can say this from experience. There's nothing less attractive than a partner that's permanently hooked to their phone screen. I had an ex like that, and it went from miserable to some kind of state beyond that which doesn't even have a term in English. Eventually, she started cheating on me, and her excuse for being gone all night was, "My phone died." I was thinking, I've never, ever seen you peel away from your phone. If it died, you'd be in a state of panic that I've never seen before. Anyway, long story short, not worth it. Unfortunately, this happens in many marriages. When you start to realize how much easier life would be without them, you know it's the end. I feel that you're done, that this isn't okay for you or your kids to go through every night. It's not okay for someone to threaten divorce and weaponize it every time they're called out. I have doom-scrolled for hours, realized I had done the same thing and not put the kids to bed. But you know what? You either apologize to your partner and laugh about it, but the next day you are aware and you don't do it again. My husband and I have nights where we are both exhausted, and the kids go to bed a little late because we've both been slower. That's life. But hiding in your phone for hours every night, that's not healthy for anyone. As someone who chose to end a long-term relationship about a year ago, trust me, once the dead weight is gone, you're so much more free to be happy. A relationship is a partnership. We both need to pull our weight, and if you're with someone who is lazy, doesn't want to help at all, gets mad when you ask them to, etc., life improves so much once they're out of your life. We all deserve someone who wants to make our life better, not someone who wants to leech off of us like an emotional vampire. Am I the jerk for losing it on my husband on the day of his family reunion? I'm a 35-year-old female married to a 38-year-old man. We've been together for 10 years, and we have 2 kids who are 9 and 5. My husband works very hard. He has multiple jobs he works throughout the week. Recently, we had a discussion about taking some time off and spending some time together. It's difficult. Because of things in his past, he's accumulated a lot of debt, which is why he works so much. I work 60-plus hours a week and take care of the household and childcare things while much of his income goes to paying his debts. I keep up with the household. I do the housework and lawn work, repairs, etc., and he contributes where he can. Within this year, he has taken time off for family and coworker events. He has scheduled time to take trips with his friends, and when he does so, I'm the designated babysitter. Many days after he gets home, he's responsible for his parents. He takes them grocery shopping, fixes things at their household, and does some of their housework. I forgot to mention, he is one of 5, and all 4 siblings live close to his parental home. His parents assist in childcare for his siblings, but not for ours. I've told him my frustrations of being consistently placed on the back burner. The other day, I lost it. I found out he invited his family to our house for a family reunion last week. I thought he took time off of work, and he didn't. The house was a mess, and most of the mess was his. I was expected to clean the house, get the groceries, run the kids to their weekend events, start cooking, and get their reunion set up, as he set the time for 4:00 p.m., the time he gets off work. The kids are helping and doing their chores and cleaning their rooms. I get the house clean, and by the time his family started pouring in, I was stewing as he was at work. He asked me why there weren't any clean towels as he was going to take a shower, and I freaked out in front of his whole family. I ran down the list of how I'm always on the back burner for these people. How I am one person, and I'm the one contributing to the household while he works just to pay off his debts. How I have no security or support in this relationship, and that he is like having another kid, and that all I feel like I'm worth is an occasional hookup whenever he's in the mood. I let it all out. I ended with, "I'm done." I packed a bag and I took off. I sat in a parking lot hysterical, and no, the kids weren't present, they were outside playing. He's a good father to the kids, but as a husband, I feel like I'm better off by myself. I have so much resentment towards him. I know he hasn't called. He texted me loud and clear, which made me even more angry because this is exactly how he deals with everything. I'm now feeling like a jerk for going off and saying all I did, especially in front of his family. Am I the jerk? Update. After the loud and clear text, I was bombarded with phone calls and texts from his family. I sent a message to my husband to give me some space, and if he had any care for me and this relationship, to call off the dogs. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, with the exception of my kid's iPad. I had called my mother, sent her some money, and she went to go pick them up and stay with her. Once they were there, I FaceTimed them and told them I was working. I'm not working. I had a secret rainy day fund and splurged on a nice hotel and spa day. Had a few drinks, cried my eyes out some more, and just spent the day unplugged and journaled all my feelings. After that, I mustered up the courage to open up Reddit and read my fate, and wow, I was surprised. I was fully expecting a bunch of "you're the jerk" comments. To clear up a few things, I shamefully do not know the lengths of his debts. Much of it was from his parents putting bills in his name. Others are just mismanagement of money, credit cards, etc. I took over the finances after I found a letter in the mail saying that we were going to lose the house. I was contributing to the household bills at the time, and he was doing the finances. I trusted things were going well. This was after marriage and after kids. We went to counseling because of it, and he said he was ashamed and afraid to tell me the truth. I took over about 3 years ago, and I told him to focus on clearing his debt, and I'd hold the household down while he did. I did not expect it to take this long, and with inflation, everything has just become more expensive and that much harder for me. I was supposed to go back to school, and that was put on hold so I could catch up on what we were behind, hence the working 60-plus hours. I'm a nurse and I work 12-hour shifts and capitalize on overtime where I can. I agree with the comments saying that I'm burnt out. I realized this today. I realized at work or at home, I'm constantly in critical thinking caregiver mode. My job is to create and problem solve for everyone but myself. To clear up the comment of his family doesn't watch our kids, it's because they did so one time and they threw it in our faces and I said, never again. I see how they use him. I've said something before and he returns with, one day they won't be here and I'll wish I could have done more. I told him that's fine, but you have siblings that are equally responsible. Some that don't have spouses or kids that can contribute. As far as the house and things go, he does really help when he can. Don't jump on me. I just want to be truthful. I think it came across that he comes home and does nothing. He just works up to 16 hours 7 days a week, so a lot of times it's me doing the majority of it. As far as the trips go, yeah, that's a sore spot. He tells me about them, he takes the day off. It upsets me. I have to beg for time, and if and when we do get it, we end up in a fight, or I have to plan everything, or we can't get sitters and stay home and he sleeps all day. And to be honest, I'm so full of resentment that it's almost too little too late. Like when I'm around him, I'm just so mad. He says I always have an attitude and that he's trying, but nothing is ever good enough, so I just stopped and accepted my fate, hence the blow-up. I haven't spoken to him yet besides telling him to call off his family. He was part of the do not disturb on my phone. I'm enjoying the peace. I'm enjoying being by myself and just being present and aware of my feelings. Knowing my kids are safe and I can truly take some time for myself, and my mental health right now is everything. Update. I called my husband this morning. I could tell by his voice he didn't get sleep last night, and he confirmed that he did not. He told me after the blow-up he asked everyone to leave. He was surprised to see my mother as I sent her to pick up the kids. He said that's when it really became real. We had a long conversation. I did apologize for exploding and doing so when I did and not communicating better. He said he understands why I felt like I couldn't and was actually glad it happened the way it did. His family finally got to see how much they affected his home. According to him, after I left, he laid into them and told them that he can no longer be the only one to help his family out and that a lot of the mess he's in is their fault. He said that after that blow-up, he told his siblings they need to step up and help with his parents. His parents were obviously upset. I couldn't care less, to be honest. They couldn't believe that they are such a burden because they ask for a little help from time to time. I just rolled my eyes in disgust as he was talking. My new space, along with my feelings of hurt and anger, just let me speak all my truths. I had nothing left to give or lose, so I told him how I felt about everything. He sat in silence for a while, then finally broke down and said he feels like a failure. He's ashamed of the debt and how much he's let us down. He said he was exhausted and has been feeling depressed because he couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel and feels as though he's ruined our future. That he goes out with his friends to feel normal and himself because all he does is work. That he does this because of the black cloud that's been hanging over him. I wasn't my best self in this moment and told him to save me the pity. It's pathetic that he got himself into this mess and I'm digging him out. I'm depressed too. There's a ton of crap I want to do that I can't do because I'm financially unable to. I went off about how over the past 3 years his income has gone solely to debt repayment, yet there's no end in sight because I haven't even seen the so-called debt. I've given him my all and as much support as I could gather, but I'm angry. This isn't the life I pictured or set myself up for either. It's not the life my kids deserve. I've missed out on so much because I'm working, or I'm cleaning, or I'm just so tired I can't even open my eyes. I told him he has no one to blame but himself. I think my disdain was concerning. He said he will show and prove that he will print out his credit report and list out all the debt he has, along with all his pay stubs and bank records, and the receipts of what's paid off and whatever else I want as far as finances are concerned. He promised my hard work was not in vain and that he's almost debt-free. Come to find out, his parents opened credit cards and bills in his name when he was younger and accrued close to $100,000 of debt in his name, not including interest. They trashed his credit, and that's why it's taken so long. According to him, he's been fighting with the collection companies to settle, trying to consolidate or get a lower interest, as it was multiple companies and debts. What I didn't know is some were so bad his wages were being garnished. He was in tears and said he didn't know how to tell me that he didn't even know the extent of what they did. He was basically working all these hours with nothing to take home to us and accruing more debt just to survive. I stayed silent. My blood was boiling. He didn't even realize he just helped me make my decision. He jokingly said my outburst took care of the family situation and that's why he texted me loud and clear, meaning he and they got the message. I told him I didn't find it funny. It's a shame that it took an outburst from me for everyone to hear what I've been saying all along. That he's an idiot for not filing charges on his parents and for just letting them ruin our lives like this. I told him he's spineless and I feel so stupid. He said he didn't call me because he knew how mad I was and was scared he would say the wrong thing and say things just like that. I thanked him for the honesty in the conversation and told him I'm so broken, angry, and hurt right now that I can't even pick up my pieces, let alone his. Right now, I need to clear my head. He said he's willing to do whatever it takes to turn this around. He even suggested marriage counseling. He told me he used his paid time off and took the rest of the week off to work on this. I lost it and cried uncontrollably. If it was that easy to take time off, why now and not then? I asked him why didn't I matter before we got here? Why now? I told him he needs the time off to find counseling, both personal and legal, that I won't be coming home. He asked me if I was serious. He begged me to rethink my decision. He said all the things I've been wanting to hear. He asked me where I was going to go, and what about the kids and the house and the bills, that I couldn't tear the kids away from the only home they know. I simply replied, I know this is what needs to be done, and I've already set the ball in motion. He hung up on me. I cried, then went to go get the kids. We're going to have a wonderful week in a somewhat fancy hotel, and swim in the pool and order room service and make some memories. I took some of the money I had saved in my rainy day fund and extended my hotel stay to include me and the kids. I have an awful lot to catch up on with them. The look on their faces when I said, no, Mommy doesn't have to work tonight was priceless. I also have an appointment with legal consultants tomorrow. Hopefully I can talk to a lawyer and figure out what's next. Am I the jerk for telling my son I have no plans to motivate or support him after he's an adult? My oldest kid is a good kid, but he's kind of lazy. His mom has always protected him, and she has her reasons. 2 years after we met, fell in love, got married, and had a kid. Unfortunately for me, our son's birth was a catalyst for a regression for her. He could do no wrong. If I tried to punish or even just correct him, she would get upset and start crying or fight with me. If he found something difficult and I wanted him to work through it or try harder, she would step in and tell me to back off or actually just do it for him. This led to our divorce, as I wanted to be a father and not a spectator. She fought so I wouldn't get custody. I ended up with visitation. My kid wouldn't do anything, though. He wouldn't bring his homework over, and all he wanted to do was play video games. If I didn't let him, he had tantrums. It was exhausting, and she would always back him up. It was always my fault. I remarried to my current wife, Diane. We have 2 kids and are doing our best to raise them right. My son stopped coming over when he was 14. I still invite him, but he rarely responds. My child support has just stopped. His mom has been giving it to him to do whatever he wanted for the last 3 years. Not my problem. He called me to see if I could help him with money. I asked what for. He said that his mom can't give him the allowance that he's used to. I asked if he was going to be attending some sort of post-secondary school, and he said no. I told him to get a job. His mom lost her mind. She said she will take me back to court so her poor baby can live his life his way. I wished for the odds to be ever in her favor and hung up. Now that he's an adult, I never have to talk to her again. It's too bad because I loved her very much, but not anymore. My son asked me to help him find a job. I said I would. I told him to send me his resume. I've been waiting 3 weeks for it. He called me yesterday to see if I had made any progress on finding him a job. I said he never sent me his resume. He got upset that I hadn't reminded him. It was one thing after another. I told him that I was not going to motivate him to do anything, that I would be here if he needed help, but that it would never be money again. I let him come over, and I helped him with a resume. I also talked to him about the trades or a community college. He's beginning to understand how difficult his future will be now that his mom can't do everything for him. He's upset with his mother now because he doesn't have life skills. She's mad at me for showing him the truth. Not the jerk. At least it seems he's starting to realize life is for him to manage. I know people who are almost 40 and still count on their mom to solve their problems. Not the jerk. Sounds like mom wanted a lifetime of codependency. Son is breaking free. It will be hard for him, but money is not the only issue, as I'm sure you know. I hope he's in therapy to work on the mental game. In therapy, I learned about a concept called the glass wall. Basically, you're in a glass box. You can see everyone around you, but you can't get out. You can make suggestions or tell people what to do, but since you can't get out, you can't make them do anything. The only person you can control is yourself. I feel like you understand the glass wall. You're trying to help him in the ways that make sense to you. In the past, you tried to guide him, but ultimately, he made his own choices. Now he has to deal with them. In my mind, you're not the jerk. Not at all, not the jerk. I do feel bad for your son, though. This is pretty much what happened to me. I learned in therapy that I shouldn't always see myself as the victim, but my mom raised me to be so weak and non-aggressive. She didn't let me spend time with my dad, even though I really looked up to him. He had visitation, which was always fun. But my mom made it really hard for us to spend time together and was always trying to turn me against him. Now I'm 31 and still live with her. She doesn't let me do much on my own. My half-siblings, who got to grow up with my dad, they're in their early 22nd and leagues ahead of where I am. They have their own place, friends, cars. I know this might make me sound like a horrible person, but I do believe that my life would have turned out different if I had my dad in my life the way I wished he was. My mom did everything she could to keep me from him, and all because he divorced her after he caught her cheating. Am I the jerk for not postponing our wedding to accommodate my sister-in-law? My fiancé, male 28, and I, 28 female, are set to be married in December. We got engaged in June of last year and decided on the wedding date a year and a half in advance for everyone's convenience. We've been dating for 10 years, and we've been saving up for the wedding for 5 years to be able to afford an extravagant wedding in a palace in India, and we finally made those arrangements. My husband's sister has always been a golden child. She always got what she asked for, as opposed to my husband, who they treat like a cash cow. Every time his mother needs something expensive, he's the first call she makes. I try not to get between them, but she's never shown any interest in his life. For the wedding, we sent out save the dates in December of last year for people to plan their holidays and plans way in advance. My sister-in-law got married 3 years back. It was a nice wedding, but not as fancy as ours. When she knew about the plans, she started finding problems in everything, to a point where my husband asked her to stop interfering. Last week, we got an excited call from her to tell us that she was pregnant and is expecting her baby in December. Both of us were shocked, but we were happy for her and congratulated her. She then proceeded to say, "So you can just come here to get married at the city hall. I would need help with the baby." I was baffled and told her the wedding is still on, and having her baby does not change our wedding plans. She threw a fit when I said that and hung up. Later that day, his mom called and told us to postpone the wedding 6 months so his sister could attend it, and if we don't, then she wouldn't attend either, and that her daughter's pregnancy is a bigger event than our stupid marriage. My husband was upset and chose to not respond, but I lost it. I told her that if my sister-in-law prioritized her pregnancy over our marriage, which she knew about for a year and a half, we're not obligated to prioritize her pregnancy over our happiness. My husband is speechless and we don't know what to do. Would I be the jerk for not postponing the wedding? Not the jerk. The cynic in me thinks it's a ploy by your sister-in-law to see how far you'll jump if she says higher. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if something goes sideways with the pregnancy if you change your wedding date. Either way, you don't need to rearrange your wedding because your sister-in-law can't make it. And the drama won't stop there either. Your mother-in-law will need to go where she is so she can be there for your sister-in-law in her time of need. Carry on with your plans, and don't give in to their unreasonable requests and demands. Am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law she should be ashamed of herself and learn to be a mature adult? My brother had 2 kids with his ex by the time he was 21. He stuck around for a couple of years, but when they broke up, he left the kids too. He paid no child support, made no effort to keep in touch with the kids, did not check if they were okay, nothing. The rest of my family let the relationship drop too, but I, 38 male, was the exception. I stayed part of my niece and nephew's lives. I still have a good relationship with them today, and they're close to my kids. 5 years ago, my brother got married, and now he's expecting baby number 3 with his wife. After settling into family life, he started to think more about his oldest 2, and he made the decision to reach out to them. He was met with silence initially, and then after speaking to his ex, he got a brief message from his kids that they were still mad and hurt that he left. They had contact for about a month, and it was sporadic. He asked if they could meet in person, and the kids said no, but they said they would do a video call with him one time, and that was it. This call happened 2.5 months into their reconciliation. At some point during this, he mentioned wanting them to meet his wife and other kids. They told him that was not going to happen, and they didn't want to reconcile with him. My brother was surprised. He had thought them opening up to him about being angry and hurt was a sign that they were willing to work through that. They told him it would be one thing if he hadn't settled down and started a family all over again. But the fact he did that and then reached out to them was too much for them. And they want nothing to do with the family he created now. This led to a back and forth where he said they have younger siblings, and they told him very clearly they will never acknowledge or accept them as siblings. And they will never accept him as their dad, and he needs to move on. I spoke to my niece and nephew after the call. They reached out to me, and they said it was good to close that door and to have the decision be their own. They felt like they got closure. My brother wasn't prepared for the outcome, and his wife is furious that my niece and nephew rejected them for existing. She started bad-mouthing the kids at my parents' house in front of all of us. My brother told her to stop, but she told him they should be ashamed of themselves for reacting like spoiled brats who don't get their way, and punishing her family when they're supposed to be grown adults now. I told sister-in-law she should be ashamed of herself for talking about them like that. I told her she should learn to be a mature adult and accept that his actions had consequences, and this is one of them. Cue to her being offended and saying I have no right to speak to her that way, and some of my family telling me I should have said nothing. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She needs to understand what her husband did was not right, and he doesn't deserve forgiveness. She is owed absolutely nothing, and you were right to shut her down. Her and her kids are nothing to them, and she has no right to expect that they want to embrace any of them. Good for you not sitting by and letting her have a tantrum about a situation that doesn't revolve around her. Am I the jerk for feeding my kids stale food and calling my wife lazy? I, 37 male, and my wife, 36 female, have 2 kids who are 5 and 7. My wife is pregnant with our third. Right now she's 20 weeks pregnant. My daughters have never been picky about their food since I used to cook all meals and never introduced them to junk food. However, about 2 months back, I was assigned to a new project at work and started working long hours, 70 hours a week, so I've been unable to cook as often. Now, I wanted to hire a cook because my wife was having severe pregnancy symptoms, but my wife said she wanted to try cooking for our kids, and she also didn't like the idea of a stranger in our house. I agreed to her idea since she suggested it herself. For the first month or so, she cooked pretty diligently for the kids and both of us as well. However, after that, she reduced the quality of the meals. What I mean is she started making easy-to-cook foods for the kids. She also started giving them junk foods as snacks so that they wouldn't be hungry for real meals. I chalked it up to her pregnancy nausea for the first few weeks, but last week, when I prepared an elaborate meal for the family on Sunday, the kids refused to even touch the food because they wanted the usual buttered noodles. So I told my wife that I'd be cooking all the meals from now onwards because the kids are getting spoiled from eating junk food all the time. She got mad at me and said she's trying her hardest and I should be more appreciative. I told her no one forced her to cook and I had already suggested hiring a cook, but she was the one who refused. She said that I don't understand her discomfort with having a cook and that hiring one was out of the question. She also told me that I can cook all the meals if I think it's so easy to feed the kids healthy food. I told her that I would do just that. That very night, I stayed up making different kinds of healthy food options for the week. Fruit salad, chicken stir-fry, pasta sauce with veggies, mushrooms, and tomatoes, then blended it all, cauliflower soup, and banana bread. I froze everything so they could be reheated during the week. I've been just reheating food throughout the week and giving it to the kids. Since they want only noodles, I add the sauce and chicken stir-fry to the noodles along with grated cheese. They just eat it without detecting any veggies in it. For their school lunches, I pack ham and cheese or tuna or chicken sandwiches the night before, along with fruit salad and chocolate milk. They get a slice of banana bread for an after-school snack, sandwiches, and soup for dinner for me and my wife. My wife told me the food tastes good, but it's stale food, so she doesn't think it's better than what she used to cook for the family. I told her at least I was putting effort into the meals, unlike her who was using the kids' picky behavior as an excuse to be lazy. She got mad at me and said that she wasn't being lazy and that the kids really were picky. Now she's not speaking to me for the past 2 days. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk for what you're feeding your kids. Those seem like good options. But you are the jerk for what you said to your wife. She's clearly not used to cooking like you. I'm guessing there's a reason you've been doing the cooking until now, and being pregnant while caring for 2 kids can be exhausting. Maybe instead of fighting about who's doing the cooking right, you could make it a team effort, some of your early prepared meals mixed in with some healthy options made by her. That might make her feel less overwhelmed about taking over a chore she isn't used to, and she'll be less likely to burn out and resort to food that isn't healthy. Make a meal plan together even. Always remember you're a team. You win or lose together. Neither of you can win alone. Not the jerk. And here's why. I don't care that she's pregnant. You offered her many reasonable solutions. She insisted on being the one to cook and messed up your kids' eating habits and turned them into picky eaters by being lazy. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter why. Yes, she is pregnant and caring for 2 other kids, but if she couldn't continue to provide healthy meals, then she should have communicated that and asked for help. And you two could have figured out a solution together. Then, once you realized that she wasn't handling it and she was not feeding your kids properly, then you took that pressure off of her and took on the task she clearly could not handle. Again, it doesn't matter that she's pregnant or why she can't handle it. She clearly can't handle it. You didn't demand she work harder or fix it herself. You solved the issue and took on the task yourself. Furthermore, you're not feeding them stale food, and it's not the same as her crappy junk, unbalanced food. What you are doing is meal planning and meal prep, and it's absolutely appropriate and healthy and even recommended. The fact that she wants to belittle your effort to help her and feed them healthier meals and take the pressure off her makes her a huge jerk. She should be grateful. Finally, she wants to argue that the kids are picky eaters. 1, they weren't picky until she made them picky by feeding them garbage. 2, they clearly are not that picky because they're eating what you're making, although calling her lazy probably didn't help your situation and probably makes you a jerk in some ways. We all can't be perfect in our communications, and maybe you need to work on that a little. You're the jerk for calling your pregnant wife lazy when you clearly have different operating abilities when it comes to food and meals. Take some time for communication and meal prep together instead of just name-calling. Also, not all meals need to be healthy. Everything in moderation. Asking her to cook from scratch every night is a lot for someone who doesn't have the skill set. Then you pile on kids who can be picky because yes, they are being picky, plus pregnancy. Why don't you teach your wife a few easy meals or create a meal plan with her cooking 2 nights and you cooking 3 nights? It doesn't need to be all or nothing, and you need to work on your communication and empathy. Lazy? You owe her a huge apology.